When I was a teenager, back in the 1950s, probably the most popular singer on radio, always at the top of the charts, was a man called Nat King Cole. And Nat King Cole sang a song called Nature Boy. That was his first hit. That put him on the road to greatness. And the lyrics of that song, I cannot remember the whole lot, but I do remember the finale. And it was along these lines: the greatest thing in all the world is just to love and be loved in return. The greatest thing in all the world is just to love and be loved in return. That is such a pressing need in all of us. Whether we realise it or not, that is the basic motivation, not of the ego self, not of the image, but of the real self. I've just been reading Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's final book, I Can See Clearly Now. And in it he tells the same story that he told in the first book I'd ever read of his, which I read back in 1990, which was called You'll See It When You Believe It. Wayne gives a description of how he and his family were deserted by his father, virtually when he was born. And he'd never seen his father. But over the years he built up this burning resentment and hatred as to why his father had deserted the family and left them in desperate need. Finally, at 34 years of age, he attends a cemetery in Biloxi, Mississippi, and finds his father's body in a pauper's grave. And there he says all these angry things. He spends 2.5 hours ranting and raving, and then eventually a great peace comes over him and he forgives his father. And it's as if a great weight has been lifted off him. And he's a changed man thereafter. There were great changes in him before that, but that was a turning point. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is so, so important. I don't mind admitting that when I read that story again, and I've read it 2 or 3 times now over 30 years, tears came to my eyes. I felt deep emotion. But more than that, I will admit that I heard in my own mind that Dr. Wayne W. Dyer was there. He was feeling for me. He was feeling love for me as I felt that deep emotion and sorrow for him. Because I am that sensitive, I guess. I've been a sensitive, been able to do automatic writing, etc., since my early 30s. And with 36 years of meditation practice behind me, I've become very sensitive. It doesn't show on the outside, and it's the same with you, the listener. Whether you realise it or not, you have within you the ability to feel far more than you do at present. We're all covered up with this shell of ego conditioning. All of us. It forms our beliefs, our opinions, our biases. but it's conditioning. It's not who we are. We are what is inside. We are what feels. Our soul feels emotion. Emotion. But beyond emotion is something even deeper. And that is what we are. I once had, as I've described before, an epiphany in which it was revealed to me. And if it was revealed to me, it's the same with you, that I was and am at the deepest level. Infinite compassion, love, understanding, wisdom, all of these things. But it's covered. Gradually the covering is giving way because I intend it to. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about dissolving that ego, that shell, that conditioning of what you are, what you think you are, and making the determined effort to find out what and who you really are?